let's give it some beans. Let's give it some beans and see what it does. Woo! Wow. Oh my. It goes. And it goes so smooth. Woo! Folks, welcome back to Goodfellas. Thank you for joining us today. And what you see behind me is a 2007 Bentley Continental GTC. I had this car for a few days, and I'm going to tell you today what it's like to own a Bentley that is over 10 years old. Let's get started. So here's some of the exterior shots, folks. It's a beautiful car. It's black on tan. 2007 GTC. It's a convertible. So once again, I keep getting these convertibles. Not a big fan of convertibles, but it's a beautiful car. I really like the simple lines of the vehicle. I think this is by far one of the best looking Bentleys out there. I really like the Bentley branded calipers. This car has 275, 35, 20 tires, 20-inch wheels. Same in the back. Let's check out the inside. It's a beautiful classic interior. Really, really nicely done. Now, since Bentley is owned by VW, a lot of the stuff you see in the interior is shared with Audis and VDubs, like this shifter right here. So let's take it for a drive and see how it drives. So folks, what it's like to drive a 2007 Bentley Continental GTC. Now I had this car for a few days. I got it from Ivan. Ivan owns a shop in Hollywood. My car is in for service again, so he gave me this car to drive around for a couple days, to and from work. So I had it for a few days. I've been driving this car around, and I just wanted to give you some of my impressions of this car, as I've been, dealing with it for a few days. Let me tell you the first few things that I do like about this car. Number one is I like the way this car looks. I think it's an absolutely classic looking Bentley, one of the best looking cars out there. I like the way it looks on the outside. I like the way it looks on the inside. The interior is very, very beautiful. It is timeless. It is classically designed. I like how they integrated the analog clock. It's a Breitling clock. I like the integration with the the screen and the buttons and all that stuff. I think it's pretty cool. That being said, let's talk about the exterior for 1 second. Everybody knows what this car is, and the problem, at least for me personally, is that this is a pretty pretentious car. People think that obviously this is a used car now, but when it was new, it was $200,000. So people think that you paid $200,000 for this car, and it attracts attention, unwanted attention. For me personally, I like to be more incognito. I don't like to be flashy. So and keep in mind, I'm in South Florida, so these are like common occurrence. It's not like we're not in Kansas. You know what I mean? So it's not that that rare to see one of these on the road, but people still do look at you, and you stop at a gas station, you get questions, etc., etc. To me personally, I don't really like that. There's a lot of unwanted attention that comes with this particular car. The other thing about the interior is that the screen the infotainment system is dated, you know, and obviously this car is over 10 years old. Maybe in 2007 it looked really good, but nowadays, you know, it looks pretty, you know, pretty outdated. And I guarantee you that Bentley is doing nothing to update this, or, you know, to do anything about it. And it's not the best of the systems. It's a little sluggish. It's slow. Again, for 2007 probably it was, you know, decent, but, you know, by modern standards, you know, it's a little bit. It's a little bit slow. I like the integration. I like the physical buttons together with the screen, but again, to me personally, and I've said this and I'm going to say it again, I don't like these screens. I don't like all that stuff. I think it's just useless stuff that's going to go. Now, the other thing about this car is that you know, it's a convertible. Obviously, you know, if you watch my videos, I hate convertibles, but I keep getting convertibles to drive around. So I was expecting this car to be a lot quieter, but it's really not. And the reason why is the top. There's a lot of wind noise, and this top did not, you know, fare well, I guess, over the years. This car only has 64,000 miles on it, and, you know, you get all these, you know, you get all this wind noise. So, and you know, it's in beautiful condition on the outside, on the inside. I imagine this car was in the garage all of its life, so, you know, the seals are starting to go. Now, to the benefit of the Bentley, I like how they did the convertible top on the inside. You know, they if you look at, you can see here, they closed it all off with the, you know, with the, like a headliner type material. This is not suede or anything like that, but they, you know, they hidden the framework, you know, and I think that's nice. I like that. The other issue is that when I first got it, I'm still doing this. When I first got into this car, it has paddle shifters, and they are in a very annoying position. Like I don't know, they're sticking out like horns. So, and the blinker switch is right next to it. So every time I go to reach for the blinker, I hit the paddle. So, you know, really, you know, crappy placement. Now, and these are like minor things, you know. So something that you will get used to if you drive this car on a daily basis. The other thing is that the interior is, like I said, it's classic, it's timeless. I absolutely love the way this looks, and it's a classic Bentley. You know, it dates back to, you know, the way they were back in the day. And the other thing is that I like how the gauges are all, you know, deeply recessed, you know, into the cluster. I think that's a pretty cool look. The engine temperature gauge is a little weird one. It has it shows the temperature goes all the way up to 260 degrees, and it hovers around 200, but it's not in the middle. So, like, when I first got into this car, I was like, is this thing overheating? Because the 200 is not in the middle. It's like, it's off to the side. So I keep looking at it. It's like, you know, psychologically, you know, if you look at most cars, the gauge is usually in the middle somewhere. Because, you know, people are used to that. So, you know, these are, you know, idiot gauges that, you know, they're not actual temperature gauges. But, you know, there's something like odd about this car. You know, of course, you know, for, you know, 2007, this car has all kinds of bells and whistles. Everything is power, you know, power telescopic steering column. You know, there's a little screen on the, you know, in the cluster. Power seats, you know, massaging seats, etc., etc. All that stuff is here. You know, I'm not gonna go over all these options because, you know, I really don't like, you know, most of the stuff. I think I don't really use 90% of the stuff that's in the cars because it's a distraction. But what I also don't like is that some of the little bits are shared with the VW, because this is a, you know, VW. So like the gate for the shifter is straight out of an Audi. So you know, there's a couple of things here and there that you can see, you know, shared with the VWs and Audis. And the specs on this real quick, if you folks, for those who don't know, this is a W12 48 valve 6-liter twin turbo engine. So I mean, it gets up there, you know. It has 552 horses, if I'm not mistaken. And what's very nice about this car is that, you know, obviously it's not designed to, you know, it's not a track car. So it's a cruiser, and it cruises effortlessly. It really does, you know. It's a joy to be in here. You know, I can still, this car is, you know, over 12 years old, and I can still smell the leather. This is how nice it is. And the, you know, the seats are comfortable. There's a lot of adjustments, so you can find a comfortable position for yourself, and there's a lot of room in this car. So it's a really nice place to be, and it's a nice car to take for a drive. Like when I'm driving to work, I take highways, and it's just you get there and it's like you haven't been driving. So it's a really nice place to be. And I think it's timeless. I really like how they did this interior. I really like all the wood. So that's that. But with that being said, this car being what it is, it has a very powerful engine. It gets up there and it goes. But it's definitely a cruiser. When I have this car and drive, the transmission is a little lazy. When you first take off, you give it gas and it kind of wallows a little bit. So it performs a lot better in sport. It's a little bit more responsive, but it's definitely something that you don't take around corners at 200 miles an hour. Now, can it do 200 miles? It can do the top speed. Back in the day was almost 200, like 195 or 197 miles. For the convertible, I think it's a little bit low, a little bit less than the coupes. But the acceleration on this car is really, really smooth. What I like about this is that there's no drama. Like some of the cars, you get into them and you floor the car, and then there's so much drama. There's noises, and there's screaming, and there's downshifting, and there's tire burning, and this and that. This car, here, I floor it, and it's just effortless. It just goes, man, and it's smooth as butter. Smooth as butter. But again, that smooth acceleration and that smooth ride is really destroyed, really destroyed by this wind noise. I mean, a car that's cost $200,000, I would expect this to last a little bit longer. I mean, this is really annoying. It gets to my nerves after a little bit, So there's a lot of wind noise for a car at this price point, And this is something to consider if you're gonna be buying one of these cars. If you're gonna spend the money on one of these, the convertibles are probably not the ones to get. But if you like convertibles, that's a different story. Another thing is that these engines are, for the most part, they're decent engines, But any type of service, anything that requires any type of work on this engine, it's an engine out. So an engine out on this car is, it's a major job. So if you're gonna buy one of these cars used, there's something to consider. Either consider buying an aftermarket like warranty, or have some money budgeted for repairs, because I anticipate that this car will need something in the future. And to me personally, I would not buy this car just because of the attention that this car gets, but this is something that I wouldn't drive daily. I think this is a really good weekend car. You take it with your girlfriend and whatnot, but on a daily basis, I don't know. It's probably going to get problematic. When I first got this car, there's another thing. When I first got this car, there was a lot of warning lights on the dash. There was a Christmas tree. This car has been sitting for a while, and what Ivan tells me, this car has two batteries. One for the start the engine, and the other one's for all the doodads and all the junk that's in this car. And it needs to be charged for all the stuff to go away. Now, 99% of the lights went away. He was correct. After I drove the car for a little bit, most of the lights went away. There's still a warning light for the convertible top that's on, but he says that again that needs to be cleared out, but it goes away if you drive this car. So that's something to look into. So this is how many doodads this car has, that it needs two batteries. So, and that's the thing with a lot of modern cars today, that they're just so much stuff in them. It's just disappointing, because the design of this car is timeless, and I'm just looking into the future. Let's say 30 years from now, can you restore this car? Let's say you buy one of these and you want to restore it. I think it's going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible. There's so many computers, there's so many electronics in this car that the cost is gonna be astronomical. It's not like you're taking a 50s Cadillac or Ford or something like along those lines, and then trying to restore that. There's a lot of stuff in this car that's gonna be once it's gone, it's gone. It's not gonna be restorable. And that's the problem, because if you look at older Bentleys, you can restore these cars, this, you know, this is going to be a challenge, and it's a shame because it's a beautiful car. It really is. The design, I think, is timeless. And you know, I really don't like what they did with the newer ones. You know, they changed the taillights and they changed the headlights a little bit, and I don't think it looks as good as this one. I think this is the perfect balance of performance, you know, technology, the looks. You know, I don't think there's anything out there on the market just like it. So, well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe, like, share, and thank you for joining us today. Bye.